What is Guidewire PolicyCenter, and why is it important? Guidewire PolicyCenter is an insurance policy administration system, PAS, that helps insurers manage the entire policy lifecycle, from quoting and underwriting to issuance, endorsements, renewals, and cancellations. It's part of the Guidewire Insurance Suite, which also includes Billing Center and Claim Center. Insurance companies use PolicyCenter because it reduces manual effort in policy processing, ensures compliance with underwriting rules. What is the overall architecture of Guidewire PolicyCenter? Guidewire PolicyCenter follows a layered architecture built on Java and Gosu. It consists of the presentation layer, PCF files for UI, business logic layer, Gosu classes and rules, and data layer, entities and type lists managed via Gosu ORM. PolicyCenter communicates with external systems through plugins, web services, and messaging queues. This separation allows flexibility, reusability, and scalability in insurance policy management. Explain the policy lifecycle in PolicyCenter. Submission, application submission by agent. Quoting, premium calculation and rules applied. Underwriting, UW review and approval. Binding, policy agreement finalized. Issuance, policy is generated and issued. Endorsement, renewal, cancellation. Post-issuance modifications. What are PolicyCenter entities, and how are they structured? Entities in PolicyCenter represent data objects stored in the database. For example, policy period, policy, account, and job. Each entity is defined in .eti, entity type information, files. Entities support attributes such as policy number, effective date, relationships, one-to-one, one-to-many, extensions, custom fields added via .etx files, and type lists for enumerations like policy status. Differentiate between product model and line of business in PolicyCenter. Product model defines insurance product structure, coverages, terms, and conditions. Line of business is the insurance domain, auto, property, and workers' compensation. Product model is configuration-driven in PolicyCenter Studio. Each line of business is built as a separate product definition, but uses shared components. How is rating handled in PolicyCenter? PolicyCenter uses a rating engine that calculates premiums. Rating can be done in two ways. Rating worksheets, configured in the product model for rule-driven calculations. External rating integration, uses plugins or web services to connect to external rating systems. The rating process considers coverage terms, factors, modifiers, discounts, and underwriting rules before finalizing the premium. What is a job in PolicyCenter? Give examples. A job is a major insurance transaction that changes the state of a policy. Examples are submission, renewal, cancellation, rewrite, endorsement. Each job has workflow, screens, and rules to guide the process. Explain the difference between PCF files and Gosu classes. PCF files are XML-based configuration files for UI screens, layouts, and workflows. Gosu classes are Java-like programming language used for business logic, rules, and calculations. PCF handles presentation, while Gosu handles logic. What are plugins in Guidewire PolicyCenter? Plugins are extension points that allow integration with external systems. For example, iPolicy Renewal plugin handles renewals. iPolicy Validation plugin performs validation rules. iRating plugin, custom rating integrations. Plugins can be implemented in Gosu or Java. Explain account versus policy in PolicyCenter. Account is the customer's profile containing all their personal and business details, while policy represents a specific insurance contract tied to that account. One account, multiple policies.
Policies can share billing and claims details under one account.
What is the difference between pre-qualification and underwriting in PolicyCenter? Pre-qualification, performed automatically using Rules Engine during submission to eliminate unqualified risks. Underwriting, manual or automated approval process where an underwriter reviews risks, applies conditions, or rejects applications. How does PolicyCenter handle effective dating? PolicyCenter supports effective dating to manage policy transactions across time. Slices represent a policy at a specific point in time. Periods, policy duration, start and end date. Branching allows midterm endorsements or rewrites while retaining original history. What are type lists in PolicyCenter? Type lists define enumerated values in the system. For example, policy status equals draft, quoted, bound. Stored as .tti, type list type info files. Can be internal, system-defined, or external, custom-defined. Used in drop-downs, rules, and workflows. What is the significance of policy period entity? Policy period is the core entity in PolicyCenter that represents a specific term of a policy. It connects accounts, coverages, jobs, and underwriting processes. Each policy period is effective dated and contains all details about coverages, insured risks, and transactions. How are web services implemented in PolicyCenter? SOAP and REST-based services are supported, used for integration with billing, claims, and external rating engines. Guidewire provides WSI standards compliance. Services can be consumed, calling external systems, or exposed, PolicyCenter APIs. What are activity patterns in PolicyCenter? Activity patterns define tasks and workflows assigned to users. Examples: review submission, approve endorsement. Configured in the Administration tab. Activities are linked with jobs, accounts, and policies for tracking user responsibilities. Explain the workflow engine in PolicyCenter. Guidewire Workflow Engine automates job transactions, defined in workflow files, .wxf. Supports states, transitions, and actions. Example, a renewal workflow. Start, UW review, approve, bind, issue. What is the difference between rate routines and rate books? Rate routines define the step-by-step calculation logic, like base rate plus factors plus discounts. Rate books store sets of rates and modifiers. Both are configured in the Product Model Designer. How is reinsurance integrated in PolicyCenter? PolicyCenter integrates with Guidewire Reinsurance Management. Reinsurance rules and treaties are applied at the policy or coverage level. Integration happens via plugins or messaging queues. Explain data model extensions in PolicyCenter. Developers can extend the data model by adding custom fields to entities, .atx, extension files for entities. Fields can be added for business-specific requirements, example, risk score. Extensions do not override base entity definitions, ensuring upgrade safety. What are PolicyCenter rules and where are they used? Rules are configured in the Rules Engine and written in Gosu. Types include validation rules to ensure data correctness, eligibility rules to check risk qualification, assignment rules to assign jobs or activities to users, segmentation rules to categorize policies for rating, marketing. How does PolicyCenter handle product model configurations? Configured via Product Designer in PolicyCenter Studio. Includes coverages, coverage terms, conditions, and exclusions. Supports versioning for product updates.
Changes propagate to all future policies automatically. What is the difference between policy transaction and policy job? A policy transaction is any change made to a policy, such as endorsement, renewal, or cancellation. A policy job is the structured workflow that manages how that transaction is carried out in PolicyCenter. Transactions represent the business action, while jobs represent the system process supporting it. For example, an endorsement transaction is executed through an endorsement job. Thus, jobs provide screens, rules, and workflows to complete policy transactions. What are location groups in PolicyCenter? Used when a policy covers multiple locations, for example, commercial property insurance. Locations can be grouped for rating and underwriting purposes. Each group can have different coverages. Explain the integration between PolicyCenter, Billing Center, and Claim Center. PolicyCenter handles policy issuance and endorsements. Billing Center manages invoices, payments, and collections. Claim Center handles claims against issued policies. Integration happens via messaging, plugins, and web services. How does PolicyCenter ensure security? Role-based access control, RBAC. Permissions defined in security.config.xml. Integration with LDAP SSO. Field-level security. Example, SSN visible only to specific roles. What is a rewrite in PolicyCenter? A rewrite cancels the existing policy mid-term and issues a new policy. Rewrite new term, entirely new policy with a new effective date. Rewrite full term, cancels and rewrites for the entire period. How is product model versioning handled? Product model versioning in PolicyCenter is managed through effective dating and version control. Each change in coverages, terms, or rules creates a new version of the product model. Existing policies continue using the old version, while new policies adopt the latest version. This ensures smooth transitions without disrupting in-force policies. It also allows insurers to track, audit, and manage historical product definitions. Explain PolicyCenter messaging. PolicyCenter messaging is used for asynchronous communication with external systems. It supports both inbound and outbound messages to exchange policy, billing, or claim data. Outbound messages send information like policy issuance to other applications. Inbound messages receive updates, such as billing confirmation or external rating results. Messaging ensures system integration, reliability, and real-time data consistency. What are some performance optimization techniques in PolicyCenter? Use batch processes for large data loads. Optimize database indexes and queries, avoid excessive entity extensions, implement asynchronous integration via messaging, use caching for type lists and frequently used rules.